Chosen one, hear this carefully. A stranger has uncovered a betrayal aimed directly at you, and they are stepping out of the shadows to reveal everything. Someone you have never met is about to cross the threshold of your life, carrying a truth powerful enough to reroute your entire destiny. Their arrival is not random. It is intervention, divine timing moving pieces into place. What they bring dismantles the trap completely. The one behind the scheme cloaks themselves in spirituality, wearing wisdom like a mask and compassion like a performance. Their words sound enlightened, their presence feels gentle, and they play the wounded victim so convincingly that others rush to save them. But you sensed it, didn't you? That chill beneath the warmth, that manipulation hidden inside guidance, that uneasy energy that made your intuition scream while your mind tried to explain it away. This person sees you as competition. They know they can't surpass you honestly, so honesty stopped being an option. Every opportunity that finds you feels like theft to them. Every rise you make mirrors their inner collapse. Every moment you stand fully in your power exposes the void they refuse to face. So instead of elevating themselves, they chose destruction. Instead of growth, sabotage. And this plan has been forming far longer than you realize. The stranger knows exactly who this is because they've been close enough to witness every mask fall, the wounded soul always needing support, the spiritual guide dispensing wisdom, the strategic player making quiet power moves. Different roles for different audiences, yet the same core beneath them all: envy. A soul so consumed by it that if they cannot be you, they believe you must be removed. This betrayal feels intimate family energy, not always by blood, but close enough to access your world, your weaknesses, your trust. Close enough to study you over time while resentment fermented into poison. They watched your patterns, your routines, your relationships, cataloging every detail the way a thief studies a house before breaking in. When you were vulnerable, who you leaned on, what mattered most to you, everything was noted, everything weaponized. The stranger saw this obsession firsthand. Before we continue this life-changing message, take a moment to pause like this video, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 voices of faith, and comment the number 99 to send a powerful signal of alignment to the universe. They heard conversations where you were no longer spoken of as a person, but as a problem needing a solution. And that solution, the one being planned, is why the stranger is coming forward now. At the root of it all is money. Inheritance they feel entitled to. Assets they believe were stolen from them. Opportunities they're convinced you're blocking. In their distorted logic, erasing you solves everything, but it goes deeper than greed. The stranger noticed the fixation wasn't just about gaining, it was about watching you lose. Something dark and pathological driving the need not only to have what's yours, but to strip it from you completely. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Documents hidden away, paperwork meant to protect you, contracts designed to secure your future. Only they'd been altered, clauses rewritten, terms twisted, safeguards turned into weapons. The stranger was never meant to see the originals, never meant to compare them, but they did, and when the scale of deception became undeniable, something shattered inside them. This wasn't clever business strategy. This was deliberate harm, calculated, cold, and merciless. And the most disturbing truth of all, the stranger had been recruited to help carry it out. Their role was clear: approach you with a golden opportunity. A deal that looks flawless on the surface, credible backing, impressive returns, flawless presentation. Make it irresistible. Create urgency. Pressure you to act fast, to sign before questioning, before intuition could speak, before the truth had time to surface. But what they were never told, what only revealed itself later, was what happens after your signature is sealed into ink. The hidden clauses that snap shut like steel jaws. The liabilities quietly transferred onto your shoulders. The control stripped from your hands. The invisible cage that locks the moment the pen leaves the page. This was never an opportunity. It was a snare disguised as a blessing, and the stranger was meant to be the bait. Your orchestrator could not build something this elaborate alone, so they assembled a web, an entire network of moving parts. Some players know exactly what they're doing. Others have been manipulated into obedience without seeing the full design. Every single one positioned to serve your undoing. Even authority has been turned against you. Someone with influence. Someone whose voice carries weight in legal and business realms. This person has been fed a carefully engineered story about you, half-truths, selective facts, fabricated proof crafted to make you look guilty of something you never did. And it worked. This authority figure believes they're delivering justice. They have no idea they're being wielded as a weapon by someone driven purely by envy and self-interest. The stranger witnessed it all: the performances of concern, the rehearsed innocence, the conversations where truth was bent just enough to sound real. And they watched power fall for it completely. That's when the stranger understood the scope of this plot. This isn't just about trapping you with paperwork. This is about ensuring that when the trap closes, authority is already standing by to enforce the damage. About making sure that when you push back, you're already buried beneath accusations, reputational stains, and manufactured wrongdoing. Social circles have been prepared too. Seeds of doubt planted early. Subtle questions asked. Concerns shared under the guise of care. Public perception quietly shaped before you ever sensed an attack was coming. There may even be proximity to someone visible, someone respected, whose name alone lends credibility and whose platform amplifies the narrative. The stranger doesn't yet know every connection, but they know this much: social influence is part of the weapon. Every piece of this network exists for one purpose: to isolate you, to discredit you, to make sure when the moment arrives, you are surrounded by people already conditioned to believe the worst. And now comes the part you must understand most clearly: why this stranger is coming to you at all. Because they were not innocent. They participated. They agreed. They were recruited with promises: money, access, opportunity, proximity to power. Your orchestrator has a gift for finding pressure points and applying just enough force to secure compliance. And the stranger had their own vulnerabilities. A family connection, financial desperation, moral flexibility, a willingness to look away. Whatever the reason, they stepped into the role. They heard the plan. They moved the pieces they were instructed to move. And for a time, they chose not to think too deeply about what it would cost you. Until something broke through the illusion. Maybe it was the altered documents and the undeniable stench of fraud. Maybe it was the venom in your orchestrator's voice when your name was spoken. Maybe it was their conscience finally clawing its way back to the surface. Or maybe it was a failed relationship tied to your family circle, one where they saw things, heard things, witnessed behavior that should have stopped everything long ago, but confronting it would have cost too much. And so they stayed silent, until now. Now they're recognizing the same pattern unfolding around you, and this time, they're no longer on the sidelines. This time, their silence makes them complicit. This time, pretending not to see is no longer an option. So they're coming to you, not because they suddenly became noble, not because of some dramatic moral rebirth, but because carrying the weight of what they know has become unbearable. Because the knowledge of what's about to happen to you is heavier than the consequences of telling the truth. You may not understand their motives. You may doubt them. Their admission of involvement may ignite anger before clarity arrives. And still they're coming. Because what's moving toward you is far worse than you realize, and giving you a fighting chance is the only way they can live with themselves. You need to grasp how deep this surveillance truly runs. Your orchestrator hasn't been casually watching you, they've been studying you like an enemy before war. Every conversation you've had in their presence has been logged. Every vulnerability you revealed was noted. Every behavioral pattern mapped. They know when your guard drops, when trust comes easily, when stress clouds your judgment. Those moments are the entry points they've been waiting for. The stranger witnessed this obsession firsthand. They saw the mental notes taken after interactions with you, sometimes literal notes, details about your reactions, your emotional triggers, the words that landed deepest. This wasn't curiosity. It was reconnaissance. Your digital presence has been monitored more closely than you think. Not just what you post publicly, but who you engage with, what you support, what you believe, what direction your life appears to be moving in. Breadcrumbs you didn't realize you were leaving have been gathered into a psychological profile. That information has been used to refine the trap, to determine exactly how it should be presented, which emotional buttons to press, which trusted voices in your life could be leveraged to make the lie feel safe. The stranger saw this monitoring in real time, your orchestrator scrolling through your profiles, dissecting your posts, showing them to others, twisting your own words and images to support their narrative or sharpen their manipulation. They've also tried to access what they were never meant to touch: financial information, private communications, confidential documents, anything that could be turned into ammunition. The stranger doesn't know how much they succeeded, but they know attempts were made. And some information was obtained through channels that weren't clean, legal, or ethical. Your orchestrator has been watching your emotional state as closely as your external life. Stress becomes opportunity. Financial pressure becomes leverage. Family conflict becomes an opening to pose as support while quietly extracting information. The stranger watched this emotional opportunism unfold, concerned questions asked, empathy offered, all while your vulnerabilities were being cataloged for future use. None of it was genuine. It was strategy disguised as care. And this attack doesn't stop at the material world. There is a spiritual dimension you must recognize. Intention has been aimed at you: focused negativity, conscious or practiced interference meant to weaken you, confuse you, erode your confidence, make you doubt your own inner voice. You felt it even if you couldn't name it. The sudden heaviness, the mental fog, the moments where clarity slipped away for no obvious reason. That wasn't random. That was pressure, subtle, persistent, and designed to make you easier to control. That exhaustion with no physical cause. That anxiety that appears without a reason. These aren't accidents. They are signals, symptoms of spiritual pressure. Your orchestrator understands energy, understands how to manipulate it, and they have been directing it toward you not for healing, not for growth, but for confusion and depletion. They want you cut off from your intuition, severed from your inner guidance, operating from fear and ego instead of higher awareness. The stranger began to sense this darker layer when they noticed how drained they felt after being around your orchestrator, how their own thoughts blurred, how certainty dissolved into doubt. That is what prolonged exposure to distorted energy does. And your orchestrator didn't stop there. They tried to attach that interference directly to you, sending thoughts that feel like your own but aren't, planting doubts that echo internally yet originate elsewhere, triggering emotional reactions that don't align with your true state but feel convincing in the moment. The stranger also noticed something unsettling. Your light disturbs them. When you are grounded, aligned, operating in your full power, they become uncomfortable, restless, evasive. They prefer you stressed, tired, overwhelmed, because your strength exposes the emptiness they refuse to confront. You are a mirror they cannot bear to face. So instead of igniting their own light, they chose to try to extinguish yours, but here is the truth they cannot change. Your light does not depend on circumstances, cannot be stolen by fraud or silenced by force. It is tethered to source, fed by purpose, protected by something far beyond human schemes. That is why the spiritual attacks failed. That is why escalation became necessary: legal pressure, financial traps, material warfare, because your spiritual protection held. Your connection runs too deep. Your role matters too much for darker forces to remove you quietly. Now that you are aware, your defense shifts from passive to conscious. You can protect intentionally, pray with precision, cleanse deliberately, call in your support by name, build shields with awareness. Knowing changes everything. And woven into all of this, the stranger noticed another layer being pushed toward you: a seductive promise, dressed as awakening, framed as evolution. Talk of destiny engines, accelerated ascension, bypassing the mind, rewriting reality itself. Language designed to overwhelm discernment, to hijack hope, to make surrender feel like empowerment. This is how manipulation evolves: by disguising control as transcendence, urgency as enlightenment, compliance as liberation. Now that you see what's coming, you must recognize the patterns as they appear. Because once seen, they lose their grip. Artificial scarcity is always first: pressure to decide now, before thinking, before counsel, before intuition can speak. Then isolation, quietly distancing you from voices that might question the narrative, planting doubt about those who genuinely support you. And finally, flattery, the praise, the validation, the reassurance meant to soften your boundaries right before something is taken. These tactics only work in darkness. And the moment you recognize them, the power shifts back to you. They soften you, first layering praise until your guard lowers, until resistance feels unnecessary. Compliments become lubricant for the pitch. Then comes the fourth move, the savior act. In this story, they frame themselves as rescuers, as people taking risks on your behalf, bending rules just to help you win. Gratitude is engineered. Obligation is manufactured. Saying no begins to feel rude, even disloyal. Next arrives the complexity smokescreen. Everything is intentionally overbuilt, dense language, tangled structures, endless moving parts. Confusion isn't a flaw, it's a feature. When things feel too complicated to fully grasp, harmful details can hide in plain sight. In this narrative, the stranger has seen these tactics deployed again and again, sometimes alone, often stacked, always with the same objective: agreement that benefits the architect and costs the target. Emotional manipulation is woven throughout. Excitement is triggered to override caution. Fear of missing out is stirred to rush decisions. Gratitude is invoked to suppress questions. Guilt is applied when skepticism surfaces. Even gaslighting appears where doubts are reframed as weakness. Intuition is labeled fear, and clarity is mocked as paranoia. The goal is simple: get you to doubt yourself instead of them. Then comes incremental commitment. Nothing is demanded all at once. Just a small yes, then another. Each step feels harmless, but every agreement narrows the exit. In the story, the stranger watched this progression being designed, each interaction mapped, each conversation crafted to move closer to a final outcome. Nothing accidental, everything deliberate. Alongside this runs narrative control. Quiet conversations, subtle framing, questions that sound neutral but plant suspicion, observations that slowly erode trust. Reputation is softened for later impact. Some elements of the plan are already in motion within the story. Conversations started, documents filed, opinions shaped. Not everything waits for perfection. Seeds are planted early so that when the main event arrives, the environment is already prepared. People may act differently. Energy may shift. Doubt may appear where none existed before. In this narrative, that's intentional. The warning embedded here isn't meant to provoke fear, but awareness. Stories like this exist to sharpen discernment, to remind listeners that pressure, confusion, urgency, and flattery are not signs of destiny, but signals to slow down. When you can name the pattern loses its hold. They know consultations have already taken place. They know preliminary steps have been initiated. The machinery of a legal offensive is already in motion, even if nothing has reached your hands yet. Paperwork doesn't announce itself at the beginning. It moves quietly through offices and systems long before it ever confronts its target. Alongside this, your orchestrator has begun shifting resources. The stranger noticed money being moved, assets restructured, accounts adjusted. This isn't random activity. It's preparation. It could be about shielding resources from scrutiny. Could be about positioning assets beyond reach. Could be about funding what comes next. Whatever the motive, it signals intent. If you share accounts or assets with anyone connected to this circle, you need clarity now. Verify balances. Confirm access. Review signatures. Make sure nothing has been altered without your consent. Awareness at this stage is not paranoia, it's protection. The stranger also observed something critical. Your orchestrator has been assembling professionals. Not casually consulting, but deliberately recruiting. Lawyers experienced in aggressive litigation. Financial experts skilled in strategic restructuring. Possibly investigators tasked with combing through your life for leverage. This tells you everything you need to know. This is not improvisation. This is investment. Time, money, and expertise have been committed, which means your response must rise to the same level. Now the fog lifts. You see the architecture of the trap. You recognize the players. You understand the mechanisms. And you will not step forward blindly. You move with intention now. First, document thing. Every detail the stranger shares. Get it in writing. Preserve messages. Record conversations where legally permitted. Create a trail that shows awareness, forewarning, and pattern. Second, secure independent legal representation. Someone with no family ties, no shared history, no divided loyalties. Someone whose sole allegiance is to your protection. Put the information in their hands. Let professionals dissect what's been done and what's being planned. Third sign, nothing. No matter how attractive it looks, no matter how intense the pressure becomes, no matter what urgency is manufactured, nothing moves forward without full review and confirmation that it serves your interests. Fourth, begin building your own record. Gather communications that reveal intent. Financial records that show inconsistencies. Accounts from people who have witnessed concerning behavior. You're not reacting, you're preparing. And finally, brace for exposure. Because when the trap fails, escalation follows. When they realize you won't comply, desperation rises. Smear efforts may intensify. Accusations may sharpen. Legal threats may become louder. Social pressure may increase. This is not a sign of their strength, it's evidence of their unraveling. Cornered players take risks, and risks create mistakes. Words slip. Actions expose intent. Evidence surfaces. What feels like danger is often revelation in disguise. You are not the victim of this story. You are the one who saw the plot before the final act. You are informed. You are supported. You are not alone. Watch carefully. Stay grounded. Let them rush. Let them reveal themselves. Because when a scheme collapses, it doesn't go quietly, it tells the truth on the way down. And here's the paradox, they don't realize it yet, but it's all turning in your favor. Every frantic move they make becomes another receipt. Every aggressive push exposes their character. Every threat confirms that your refusal was not fear, but wisdom. Messengers sent on your orchestrator's behalf. Friends, relatives, intermediaries who have been fed a distorted version of reality where you are the problem and your orchestrator is the wounded party. These people truly believe they're helping. They will question you, pressure you, guilt you. Do not waste your energy trying to wake them up. They are not ready. They are invested in the story they were given. Save your truth for where it matters, for legal settings, for authorities, for your real support system, for those who have earned transparency. Some relationships will not survive this. And that is not loss, it is revelation. Anyone who chooses the lie over evidence, proximity to your enemy over loyalty to you, is showing you exactly who they are. Let them. Darkness always believes it can hide forever, and it is always wrong. Exposure has already begun. The stranger stepping forward is only the first domino. More truths will surface. More allies will reveal themselves. More evidence will rise from places you didn't expect. Truth is relentless. It moves slowly sometimes, but it never stops. Your enemy feels this now. Even if they're smiling, even if they're posturing, fear is underneath it all. Their urgency isn't just about controlling you anymore, it's about saving themselves from consequences already closing in. They are drowning in what they created, and they think dragging you under will keep them afloat. It won't. The authority figure who was turned against you will learn the truth. When testimony emerges, when documentation is examined, when manipulation is laid bare, the realization will be devastating. Someone once positioned as your adversary will become a key witness. And your orchestrator knows this moment is coming. That's why the rush. That's why the pressure. That's why the recklessness. Desperation always leaves fingerprints. You may also see the victim mask intensify. Suddenly they are the one being attacked, the one misunderstood, the one who needs protection and sympathy. Many will fall for it. Let them. Truth doesn't need applause to remain true. It waits solid, unchanging, undeniable until eyes are ready to see. Your task is not to convince the world. Your task is to stay protected, stay grounded, and let reality reveal itself in its own time. You've been warned. You've been armed with awareness. You've been prepared. Now watch closely as everything meant to destroy you becomes the catalyst that elevates you. Watch lies collapse under their own weight. Watch manipulation unravel. Watch justice move with precision. The stranger uncovered the betrayal. They're coming to tell you everything. And because they chose courage over silence, you will walk through this fire and emerge refined, empowered, and absolutely unstoppable. Your orchestrator believed they were constructing your cage, but in truth they were assembling the evidence of their own corruption. What they thought was a flawless trap has become the trigger for divine exposure. Every altered document now speaks as proof of fraud. Every lie they told stands as a record of deception. Every person they manipulated becomes a witness to the truth they tried to bury. Without realizing it, they've been building the case against themselves this entire time. And you chosen one, you are not merely going to survive this. You are going to rise because of it. This trial is sharpening your discernment for a lifetime. This attack is revealing who your real allies are. This betrayal is unveiling the depth of protection that surrounds you. When the dust settles and clarity replaces confusion, you will look back and see how precisely your protection was orchestrated, how every moment aligned at exactly the right time, how a higher hand guided events so that no weapon formed against you could prosper. Your enemy will face consequences not as revenge, but as justice, the natural return of their own actions. You don't need to wish harm or plan retaliation. The universe handles balance. Your role is to protect yourself, stand firmly in truth, and continue walking forward in purpose. The stranger is coming, listen carefully. Take the information seriously, but do not let fear steal your peace or derail your path. This challenge is not proof of your weakness. It is confirmation of your significance. If you were not powerful, if you were not a threat to darkness, there would be no attack. Every moment of unease you felt was intuition speaking. Every inner warning was accurate. Trust yourself. Trust your guidance. Trust the protection that has never left you. The warning has been delivered. The truth has surfaced. Now it is time to rise not as a victim of betrayal, but as a warrior who recognized the trap and stepped beyond it. Not as someone they destroyed, but as someone they underestimated. Not as the ending they tried to write, but as the beginning of a testimony of what happens when divine protection meets human betrayal. You may not know the stranger, but they knew enough to risk everything to warn you. That single act, choosing truth over fear, conscience over comfort, is what breaks the power of darkness. What was built in secrecy cannot survive the light. The stranger is bringing illumination, and under that light, the entire scheme collapses. The game they thought they were playing has changed. The trap they set has been dismantled. The ending they imagined has been rewritten. Because chosen ones do not fall to plans forged in darkness, they rise above them. And you are about to rise higher than ever before. Stand in your power. Trust the warning. Protect yourself fiercely. And watch how the universe responds to those who believed they could touch what was divinely protected. This is not your destruction. This is your elevation. This is not your ending. This is your transformation. This is not their victory. This is your testimony. The stranger is coming. The truth is emerging. The protection is activating. And you, chosen one, you rise.